How exciting on this edition of Celebs and Pets. It's the incredible Dr. Pole and his son Charles from the show talking about their new spinoff. Good morning, Dr. Pole and Charles.
Good morning
Good
and Happy
morning.
New Year.
Well, you know what? I'm just so excited to have both of you here. In addition to the KJ Today show, I also am the kitty correspondent for Pet Pals TV. So anytime I can talk with people like you who are out there bringing so many positive stories about pets and animals and doing great work in the world, it's truly an honor. And to be able to talk to you during such an exciting time. We've got the incredible Dr. Pole coming back for another season, and we have a spinoff. Charles, you got a farm?
I built a farm. It kind of genesis out of the beginnings of COVID. I was the person who was responsible for going to the grocery store, and I would go into the grocery store and see the empty shelves of food, and it really got me thinking about where our food comes from and wanting to be closer to the source of the food for security, but also, just to be closer to the food that we eat as a family, and also uh, be able to give my kids the experience of growing up with animals like I had. So, that was the inspiration, and my wife and I, we just took it on, and thankfully, my dad was able to be here to help me and give me advice, and as a family, we went through the trials and tribulations of starting a hobby farm on our property.
Let's talk about this, Dr. Pole. Charles is talking about the wonderful memories and the way that you brought him up and wanting to give that to his kids as well. Were there concerns at all with you and the reality of running a farm and what Charles was getting himself into?
No, not at all. We had enough experience because Charles and all the kids grew up with animals that they took to 4-H, because we've always been big supporters of 4-H, because for me it's very important that kids grow up with animals. Animals teach them empathy and other things that we cannot. And as long as they take care of animals and start loving them, they become better people, really. So when Charles said, "Hey, let's start, let's get some more animals, so that my kids can see what it is growing up out in the country," perfect. Let's do it.
And Charles, how have the kids adjusted? Are they 2 and 4 now?
Yeah, my children are 2 and 4 now, and they absolutely love going out to work with the animals. In fact, I took both children out with me yesterday to do chores. It's a big treat for them, and obviously, being so young, you have to be smart about it with the big animals. But my animals are really tame, really trustworthy, and my children listen. Uh, and I get them involved. They scoop the grain for me, and then I carry it over for the cows. They help me refill the water. My daughter Abigail loves collecting eggs out of the chicken coop and the peacock pen. So getting them involved early, having them work on it, and making it a fun family thing for them to do, it's been really, I think, already seeing the benefit in their lives, and what it's going to do for responsibility for them, and kind of the joy of being involved with animals. My son is 2 years old, absolutely loves our barn cat, and it's great to see the kids interact with the animals at that age.
I was gonna ask, being the kitty correspondent for Pet Pals TV, we got to talk about the cat's role on the farm, because that's actually how I grew up on a farm in Wisconsin. So not not too different of an upbringing, Charles. And as a youngster, I mean, I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and my job was to feed the cats. So how is that going for the little ones? And can you talk a little bit about the importance of cats being a part of your farm?
I can't overstate the importance of having cats on the farm. We have, anytime you have animals, and especially birds, where they have open, you basically have to free feed birds their food. So that means just filling up their dish with, chicken food, leaving it for the day, or peacock food, what have you, leaving it for the day, and that's going to attract mice. It's going to attract rats. It's going to attract disease if you don't do anything about it. So having those cats there to control the mouse and rat population is super important. And I learned that the hard way because I only had one barn cat at the start of this, and the mice and the rats started getting out of control. Now I have 4 barn cats, and don't even see them. I'm not even sure they're there right now because they really do keep those populations under control. So they work on the farm. They earn their keep every day, and it's. But at the same time, it's really rewarding to have the cats on the farm for the kids. They come and we greet them all the time. One of our farm cats loves coming inside. My son loves feeding it treats, but then she's got to go back outside to do her work. So it's a really great symbiotic relationship to have these barn cats on the farm.
We are talking with Dr. Pohl and his son Charles, who we know from the incredible Dr. Pohl, which 20 seasons. As as you're going into this, the new spinoff. Have you taken some time to really reflect from those early days where, Charles, you said, Dad, I think people would want to see you on TV, to now, and the amazing stories you've told in between?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When we started with this show 12 years ago, Charles came home and said, Dad, we should make a reality show about you. And he set the format. He said, Dad, do your work. And this is the whole secret. What you see here is real. I say many times, if you get kicked in the show, it hurts. And this is what people realize, and they learn from it. It's amazingly the people that come to the clinic from far and far away that say, we learn so much. And this is important for me too, because the more people understand an animal, and it doesn't make any difference what animal, the better it is for the animal.
Yes, and so much of what you have done, and I appreciate it, is it is the authenticity of what you're doing. Have there ever been times throughout the show where maybe the cameras were on and you thought, what, this isn't a story that we want to share, or something that you wanted to make sure didn't get into the show?
Yes, some of them, yes, because we've had a couple times where people came because they wanted to be on TV, and when they come to the clinic and I realize what's going on, I kind of nix it, because that doesn't really fit in with the way Charles has set up the whole program.
You were talking about, Charles, the changes that you went through in COVID. And, this brand new show, the Incredible Pohl Farm, came out of that. I think a lot of us, went through, the mental health aspect and feeling connected and needing that. And a lot of people, took on pets. And, I work in the rescue industry, and we're trying to keep up with spay and neuter, and people who took on pets and then went back to their regular life and are like, I don't have time for this. Do you have some words of wisdom and, help for people who, maybe are considering getting a pet and understanding that commitment, whether it's an indoor pet or doing something on the scale that you're doing of starting a farm, that responsibility to the animals?
Well, this is why Charles started the show, so people would realize what it takes to have animals.
I think that to echo that, I would hope that also that people are inspired by the show to want to do this. Maybe on a smaller scale. I mean, you have to know what you can manage in your own life. I'm fairly busy, and yet at the same time, if you're smart about the way that you go about setting it up and the type of animals that you have, it doesn't really require as much work as you would think. It requires once a week you spend a good amount of time cleaning the pens and doing things like that, and then once a day usually going out and feeding, making sure that everybody has water, then maybe a quick check at nighttime to make sure everything's okay. But it doesn't require 8 hours, 10 hours, a full-time job. You can do it as a part-time job or part-time hobby. And if you're busy, you could do something like even backyard chickens, which require a lot less maintenance and work. So hopefully people are inspired on a bigger scale, on a smaller scale, to get animals, to find out how rewarding it is. I have a lot of friends from California who, when I first started doing this, said to me, like, what, you're getting animals, you're doing a hobby farm, what, are you nuts? And I tell them all the time, like, I've never slept so well as when I've worked a hard day on the farm. So it can be hugely rewarding for people. And I hope they see that. And also, like, rewarding from the food aspect, too, being that close to your food and having it right on your fingertips. You'll never have fresher food or better food than when it comes right off your own land.
The Incredible Pole Farm is the spinoff of the Incredible Dr. Pole, and it is it is coming Saturday, January 6th is when we get back into new episodes, and so excited to continue to see your family growing and sharing all of your wisdom. I know from the trailer that there are, as we see with your family, plenty of laughs as well. Can you share maybe a moment, Charles, in getting into this farm where you maybe thought, what am I getting myself into?
Yeah, I think you will see that in the first episode when we plant the hayfield. That was something that, you just assume that it's really easy to plant a field. How hard can it be? Well, it's fairly difficult, and there's a lot of learning experiences, a lot of hard lessons with that right there. But I had a lot of fun, again, doing it. People can watch it on Nat Geo Wild on January 6th, and also stream it on Disney Plus and Hulu on January 7th.
Dr. Pole, I did want to take a moment, to discuss the mental health issues that go along with the veterinary world, because I mean, I've lost friends. I've had friends take their lives. I worked in a clinic for about 12 years part-time and realized I didn't think that emotionally I could handle it ever full-time. And I know that there is a lot of, concern in the veterinary world for our friends who are listening who work in veterinary medicine. Do you have any wisdom to share as far as, burnout and the emotional toll? Because it seems like you handle it so well.
Well, first of all, you have to realize that you cannot save any and every animal. You have to accept that some things you cannot save at all. And then the next thing is you have to realize that animals are not afraid to die. For them, it is all part of life. And you have to look at the quality of life, whether you say, okay, let's try to do things or not. It is not important to get another couple of weeks when the animal is suffering. So the main thing is do the best you can to keep the animal comfortable. And then, yes, this is also the reason why all of us have more than one animal, because it is so hard to lose an animal for us, but it's not for the animal itself. So you have to accept you're not God. You can't save everything, but do the best you can and tell the people the truth.
Thank you. Yeah, that is the hardest part. I think that, we as humans sometimes put our emotions into these animals. And if we can if we can think like them, and that it's, are we giving them a good day, and how many more good days can we do? Like, have a little compassion for the animal. It gets hard
Yes.
because our own emotions get in the way, right?
That's exactly right.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything, we talked a lot about the spinoff, but we have a new season of The Incredible Dr. Pol. Can you give us a little preview as to the stories we're going to see unfold this season?
To be honest with you, no, not at this moment, because they're getting so many hours of taping, and I don't see the previews. Like I said, I just do my work, and they film it, and we have a lot of fun doing it.
I think that's what's so special about it. It feels like the cameras have never changed what you do. You do what you do, and there happen to be cameras around.
That's correct.
Well, thank you both so much. We are so excited to get more with your family. And again, on behalf of everybody that, it has any role in making the world a better place for animals, you're always out there and you're bringing positive stories and you're educating us. And we just can't thank you enough. Dr. Pol and his son, Charles, thank you so much for being on KJ today.
Okay, KJ, thank you very much, and Happy New Year.
Thanks for joining us for another celebrity interview. Of course, the KJ Today Show isn't just about talking to celebs, it's about hanging out with you. Join us live on Wednesday nights for pop culture, people to know, and pets. The KJ Today Show on YouTube. Subscribe and watch live Wednesday nights at 7.